Greetings, creeps. Welcome back to Hallowscream, radio for haunters, Halloween junkies, and the members of the UK Halloween prop making group on Facebook. We've got an awesome episode for you today, Haunt Fiends. We'll be talking acting in Haunt Tips, checking out another 5 awesome how-tos in terrifying tutorials, and we'll have our first interview with the creator of the UK Halloween prop making group, Natasha Shelford. But for now, we've got 3 awesome home haunts to check out, as Haunting Inspirations is dead ahead.
Haunting Inspirations.
We've got some great haunts to check out this week, Hallowscreamies, so let's jump straight into it with the first on our list. We have a video from Ford Sanders and Killington Lane of their 2021 display. Ford does an absolutely incredible job with a small front lawn space, turning it into an insanely well-detailed cemetery with a ton of great animatronic zombie props. I was really excited to find this one. I'm also using a small front garden space and doing a cemetery, so this was the perfect video for me to draw inspiration from. This video shows what can be done in a small space, but it must be said the work gone into Killington Lane is nuts, and it almost looks professionally done. You can't see the property anymore, all you can see is the cemetery and the mausoleum facade behind it. It's only a 4.5 minute video, and I can't recommend watching it enough. I'll be watching it a few times to farm ideas, that's for sure. Next up we have the Haunted Driveway 2021 walkthrough from the Haunted Driveway. This is a 7.5 minute video that gives us a look at the Haunted Driveway display. Set up along a long driveway to the Haunted Driveway property, there is a really good variety of props in this one. Though, even with the mix of themes, nothing particularly seems out of place. The props seem to come together seamlessly, and as sad as it is, I love a tidy haunt. One thing I especially enjoyed about the Haunted Driveway was their lighting. They do an awesome job with the lighting throughout the whole display, and I really like what they've done. In terms of the props, I really like a section made to look like a toxic waste dump. It's lit really well, and that's helped even more by some glow-in-the-dark and fluorescent paints. Another really cool thing with the Haunted Driveway is that they have their own website that features how-tos on how to build some of their props. Even more of a reason for you to check this one out. Lastly, we have a fun yard haunt from Sparkles123 with a 10-minute video showing us their triple threat yard haunt. A pumpkin patch, a haunted mansion, and a carnival. They all come together really nicely here. Starting out in a pumpkin patch themed area, this is home to a load of great props to suit. We spend a few minutes walking through the pumpkin patch and checking out the props as we go. We then come to the haunted mansion theme at the front of the property, which includes a great little cemetery. We then move to the carnival, which is full of creepy animatronics. This is another one that shows us how to blend themes in a way that works and shows off some awesome props. Definitely worth a watch for someone that's got a variety of props to display. And that brings us to the end of this week's segment. I thought it was quite a fun one this time. Hopefully you found something in these videos that got your crazed haunter brain working away at the ideas for your haunts. Be sure to claw your way back next time for more haunting inspirations. Welcome back to Haunt Tips. Today we're going to be talking about something that may not be relevant to everybody, but it's important nonetheless. We're going to take a look at scare acting and go over some tips to either help get you started or maybe help you improve what you're doing already. I'm no actor by any means, but I do some scaring in my haunt, so I've gone ahead and watched several people talking about it, as well as watching some haunted documentaries that also talk about the specifics of scare acting. And what I'm going to try and do is put the best of all of it into this segment in a bid to help you guys. We'll see how it goes. So, rule number one. Rule number one is going to be expect the unexpected. Something will always catch you off guard, be that damaged or failing props, scares just not hitting the mark, or someone's reaction to your scare. Maybe they're frozen in fear, maybe they get aggressive with you, perhaps even violent. Or maybe they go the other way completely and piss themselves. It does happen. You might get pulled around a bit or maybe pushed back if someone is that scared. No one should touch you at all, but it does happen occasionally. So just keep in mind that you may need to be ready to go beyond the character you're playing should the need arise. Be aware of what you're getting yourself into. Weird lighting, flashing lights, loud sounds, lots of screaming, all over a long period of time. It's a very unusual situation, and you're going to be doing it all night, so just make sure you're prepared for it. Your costume or character may require you to wear all sorts of masks or restrictive clothing. If you're someone that gets claustrophobic or doesn't handle being restrained well, then maybe it's time for a character redesign. If you're acting as part of a bigger haunt, then talk to the person running it and see if you can swap roles or adjust the one you're playing already. This is a big one. No touching. And this rule goes both ways. The visitors shouldn't be touching you, and you should not be touching the visitors. The only time it's okay is when your haunt has people sign a waiver. Even then, it's just best not to touch people. Breaks. Take breaks. Scare acting is usually high energy, and most of the time you're going to be doing a lot of screaming or shouting, so make sure to take plenty of breaks and drink plenty too. Keep bottles of water or whatever else you want to drink nearby, though stay away from energy drinks. You'll crash when they wear off, and you really don't need that. If you run a haunt that has actors or volunteers, then it's always a good idea to buy some bottled water to keep on hand. If you're part of a haunt that uses several actors and volunteers, maybe check on each other every now and then. That doesn't mean you do a lap of the whole of the haunt and check on everybody, but maybe in a quiet moment you can check on the guy in the next section, who can then do the same, and so on. If you've got a team like that, it's important to look out for each other. It's okay to be worried or nervous. To quote Monsters Inc., we scare because we care. So try not to worry. It's natural to worry, but if your worry is the scare that you're performing, try a few different things. You'll see what works by people's reactions. You can't tell if you don't try. The last tip I'm going to give you for this one is have fun. If you're not having fun, then what is the point? We're home haunters. We do this for the love of it. So if you're not having fun, take a break. Try something different, or maybe even stop the acting altogether and just look after the props. Whatever you need to do, but the most important thing is that you enjoy what you're doing. Otherwise, what's the point? And that does it for this week, Haunt Fiends. I hope you found this list helpful. For more hints, tips and tricks, be sure to come back next week for more Haunt Tips.
Wretched with you.
Hello there, creeps. Welcome back to the Amphitheatre, where on this week's Wretched review, I'll be taking a look at 2 recent productions from the world of horror. As always, turn back now if the spoiler monster scares you, as there will be spoilers ahead. First up, we're going to be talking about Netflix's recent action horror comedy, Day Shift.
It's gonna be a hot one in Los Angeles.
So what's on the agenda today?
Close your eyes, my son. My eyes are closed.
like every day.
What are you doing in my room?
Hunting vampires. Money.
Vampire hunting is a business. Cut necks and cash your checks. But things have changed since you got your ass kicked out the union.
If I don't come up with 10K, my wife and my daughter are gonna move to Florida.
Hi, Dad.
You're late again.
And the union is the only place that could give me that kind of money.
Your record is chock full of incidents. But he's a new man. One last chance. This is your final warning.
Let's get cracking.
Vampires just tried to kill me. Now I just pissed my favorite fucking
Hey, everybody pisses himself the first time.
Really?
Yeah.
Did
yeah.
you?
No, I didn't. But listen, you did. You know what I see when I see a vamp? Big old dollar sign. Hey, don't you puke in here.
I swallowed it.
Locked and loaded. Doggy dog in the motherfucking...
Vampires. They live amongst us. And all they are is murderers. Does not eclipse, new moon, breaking dawn, point one. It ain't like that, all right?
Why do you know the names to all the specific Twilight films?
What?
And what's your gripe with Breaking Dawn Part 2? It's the exciting conclusion of the whole Twilight saga.
Welcome to the day shift, motherfucker.
Works every time.
Murder was the case that they gave me.
Netflix's Day Shift is the directorial debut of longtime stunt coordinator J.J. Perry's, famous for the John Wick and Fast and Furious franchises. John Wick series director Chad Stileski joins as a producer, so you can imagine the kind of insane action that's put into this movie. As part of that action, Day Shift has tons of contorting vampires, who it turns out are performers from the Cirque du Soleil, and once you know this fact, the movements of many of the vampires make way more sense. Jamie Foxx is pool cleaner Bud Jablonski, though his pool cleaning business is just a cover for Bud's career of choice, a vampire slayer, selling the fangs of his slaves for profit. When estranged wife Jocelyn announces plans to move their daughter Paige to Florida, Bud turns to his pal Big John Elliott, played by Snoop Dogg, to get him back in the Slayers Union's good graces, where he can earn quick cash in the hopes of keeping his wife and daughter with him in San Fernando Valley. Bud ends up back in the Union, provisionally, and is assigned a Union rep, Seth, played by Dave Franco. But Bud soon finds himself the target of an ancient uber-vampire, Audrey, putting his life and the life of those he loves in danger. We see Bud move quickly from one scene to the next while trying to keep the slaying secret from his family. There are some interesting hints of lore, different types of vampires are named, fangs are valued differently depending on a number of factors, and there is talk of a history we don't get to see any of. There's some really cool ideas in the lore of Day Shift, and the third act even takes place in some kind of underground vampire temple, which clearly points to a presence of vampires long ago. But unfortunately, it's not that kind of movie, and we don't get to explore the lore. And as expected from the people behind John Wick, this movie is just all-out, over-the-top action, with a touch of comedy. The simplistic story is just that, simplistic, and in reality, the story is just the device that's moving us from one action set piece to the next. But I really enjoyed this film nonetheless. Dave Franco does a good job of playing the hopeless but likeable Seth, who by the end of the movie is able to kick a bit of ass in his own right. Snoop Dogg's Big John Elliott is definitely a scene stealer. He's a laid-back but cool as shit vampire hunter that carries a minigun. I was left thinking that the movie could have actually been better had Snoop's character been part of the main cast. Overall, I really enjoyed Day Shift. The action was fantastic, I laughed at the jokes or funny little details. For example, Dave Franco's Seth going into one of his first fights wearing a neck brace to stop any potential biting hazards. And the vampires themselves were done really well, and in some ways were quite unique compared to the many versions of vampires we've received over the years. The main villain doesn't feel all that threatening, but I'm not sure this was ever meant to be a movie with a fleshed out, storied villain, as opposed to a story with a pretty simple villain for Bud to take out in the third act with lots of action. I would love a sequel to this movie. I don't know if it's going to happen, but if we do, I'd particularly love one if we get to explore the lore of Day Shift a bit more. Like I said, there's some really great little snippets of lore tucked into this movie, and we're just not shown enough of it. It's a fun movie and I really enjoyed it. I think it could be quite forgettable for a lot of people though, so if I had to rate this out of 5, I'm going to go somewhere around a 3.5. Could easily be a 4 or even a 4.5 for me if we got to explore the lore a bit more. But as it is, it's a 3.5. Next up, we're staying on the insanity train with an absolutely insane Nicolas Cage B-movie, Willy's Wonderland.
Welcome to Willy's Wonderland. Spend the night cleaning Willy's Wonderland, and I will pay to have your car fixed. Deal? You are officially on staff. Let's get the hell out of here. I can't stand to hear a grown man scream.
This place has a dark history. I know the bullshit story they told you. It's a lie. You're here to be a human sacrifice. Have you been listening to a word I've been saying? He's gonna die in here, but he won't listen to me.
The machines got out. Nobody is safe. Put your balls on, Evan. We're going to Willy's.
He's not trapped in here with them. They're trapped in here with him.
It's your birthday, and we want you to have fun. It's your birthday, so let's party. It's birthday time.
I enjoy a man of few words.
Since video game franchise Five Nights at Freddy's made animatronic characters coming to life and going on a killing spree popular, there's been a few movies trying to jump on that bandwagon in a bid to pick up some of that loot. Willy's Wonderland is definitely one of those movies, but like any good B-movie, it's schlocky, weird, and a whole lot of brutal fun. Instead of relying on the jump scares like the Five Nights at Freddy's games do, this movie is very self-aware and leans heavily into the horror comedy, and we get a movie that at times almost feels like it could be written as a video game entry. More on that point when we get there. The movie starts with super cool guy Nicolas Cage driving through a no-name small town out in the country. Suddenly, he zooms over a tyre trap in the road and has to come to a stop. Conveniently, the local garage owner drives by in his tow truck, and he offers to replace the tyres for $1,000. But it's cash only, and there's no ATM. The only one in town happens to be busted. Again conveniently, the tow truck driver knows of a job Nicolas Cage can do to get the money he needs. If he can do an overnight cleaning job at the local family entertainment place, Willy's Wonderland, he'll do the repairs for nothing. Nicolas Cage is pretty much mute in this movie, which is an unusual one for a guy that can really work with words the way he does. His character's also unnamed, only being credited as the janitor, so from here on, that's what we're going to call him. He accepts the offer and gets to work, filling the fridge with his favourite energy drink, Punch. Gradually, we learn that he's meant to be a sacrifice to the demonic animatronics that spring to life each night. But in truth, it's the animatronics that should be afraid. Directed by Kevin Lewis, Willy's Wonderland delivers a somewhat muted palette, and there's a few bits meant to invoke the VHS vibe we see a lot these days. Most of this seems to be in a bid to help hide the budget look of a B-movie. Most of the action scenes are frantic and choppy so as to hide some of the kind of basic looking effects, but it works in great B-movie fashion. There's little in the way of lore for this movie. We find out as the film goes that a satanic cult once ran Willy's Wonderland and eventually performed a ritual that saw their souls trapped inside the animatronics. The town has to sacrifice people to the animatronics to stop them from slaughtering the townsfolk, and that's your story. It's basic, there's not a whole lot there, and you have to leave logic behind for some of it, but it sets up everything we need to know for the film. And as silly as this movie is, I actually love it. I really enjoyed the silly, over-the-top schlock, and of course Nicolas Cage gives another over-the-top, insanely fun performance, even without muttering any words in this film. As for what I mentioned earlier about being like a video game, there's a really fun inclusion in Willy's Wonderland that sees the janitor trying to get on with his cleaning job while being attacked by the animatronics one by one. Between each fight, he goes back to the break room where he changes his clothes, drinks several cans of fictional energy drink Smash, and plays some pinball before getting on to the next task and the next fight. It just feels like someone completing a mission in a video game and returning to a safe spot to heal up, etc. for the next level. It was a detail I really appreciated, and it was just a bit of fun. There's no doubt in my mind that this will be a really Marmite movie. You're either going to love it like I do, or you're going to hate it. Personally, I'm in love with it. It's the stupid kind of B-movie schlock that I love, and Nicolas Cage is the right level of crazy in this movie, and absolutely makes up for Willy's Wonderland's lesser elements. I really want to give this movie a 4, but if I'm honest with myself, it doesn't quite deserve it, so I'm also giving this movie a 3.5 out of 5. It's definitely worth a watch, just to say you've seen it once if you don't like it, and to watch again and again if you do. And that's going to do it for this week's Wretched Review, creeps. I've not yet decided what we'll be watching next week, but be sure to come back for some of my thoughts on great horror movies next time in the Wretched Review. Welcome back to Props for Props, Hallowscreamies. In this segment, I burrow through the archives of the UK Halloween prop making group and select an awesome homemade prop to give it the props it deserves. From this week, I've chosen Stephen Snowden's groundbreaker vampire skeleton. This awesome prop started life as a Wilco skeleton. Stephen removed the legs and made an angled cut of the hips with a saw before sculpting evil eyebrows and fangs with milliput. A heat gun was then used to bend the skeletal fingers to the desired shape and also on the neck to tilt it back a little. The skeleton was then painted and stained to create the awesome end result we see now. I always love builds like these, really simple but really effective. Awesome work, Stephen. This build looks great. I love the old school horror vibe of it, and the tombstone you've since built to go with the vampire skeleton looks great too. I can't wait to see how this looks on Halloween. Seriously, great work. The caliber of builds this year is amazing. There's loads of really cool builds popping up in the group, and you're all making it really hard for me to choose, so keep at it. That being said, you better come back next week to find out what haunting build we've chosen for props.
Terrifying tutorials.
We've got some fun, terrifying tutorials for you this week, Haunters. So, let's jump straight into it with our first. First, we've got a tutorial from Chill Factor, showing us how to build what he calls a squishy bridge. This is a really fun one. It's basically a moving walkway, but it's really simple to build. You're just going to need some wooden planks, some rope, a drill, sponges, and some glue. Once all together, you have a platform that moves when someone walks on it, and I honestly really like it. I don't have time this year, but I'm definitely going to give this one a try next year. Chill Factor shows us how to build a squishy bridge really easily in this near 15-minute video. It must be said, you only need to watch from around the 3 to 8 minute marks to see what you need to build the platform, but stick around after that point to see some fantastic views of how it works. Like I said, I'll be trying this one next year for sure, so I'll let you know how it goes. Our second tutorial comes from How to Haunt Your House, where they show us how to build modular wall panels for your home haunt. This is an awesome tutorial, particularly for those of you that want to build larger set pieces like this. How to Haunt Your House guides us through building lightweight pieces and how to decorate them in different ways for different effects. They do an amazing job of creating a stone wall just by using cardboard strips painted in grey. It's a really simple but effective way of doing it, and if you guys know anything about me from listening to the show, it's that simple but effective are usually my favourites. We get to see a couple of different ways of decorating the walls in this tutorial, including the stone effect I mentioned, and then a crumbling old interior wall. This is a really effective looking build, and the lightweight nature of the panels would make them perfect for those doing an indoor haunt. They could work even better if you know how to make a drop panel. There's no reason you couldn't add that to this build if you know how. For our third entry, we have a 12-minute video from Stiltbeast Studios. In this one, they show us how to build a creepy sconce. What's a sconce, I hear you ask? Good question, because I didn't know until doing this podcast either. But, according to the goblins over at Google, a sconce is a fancy candle or torch holder. This prop only cost Stiltbeast Studios $3 US to build, as the 3 main items used came from a 99-cent store. It's worth noting that unless you get super lucky and find the same or very similar headband as the one used in the video, you're not going to be able to build an exact copy of this tutorial, but you can absolutely use this tutorial to build some alternative items. It's basically a case of glue everything together and paint it. Another one of those simple but effective builds I love so much. And if the wind hadn't destroyed my mausoleum last year, I'd definitely be building a couple of those to go on each wall panel. The fourth tutorial on our list is another from Stiltbeast Studio, using more low-cost parts, but this time we're learning to build a Five Nights at Freddy's style killer robot. It's a longer video, heading for nearly 25 minutes, but once you've got the basics for this one, you're kind of set to go and do your own thing with it. This one ends with a kind of cartoony looking robot bear, but you could definitely go a step further and add some fur sections or something to make it look more like the animatronics you see in the games. This is a super fun build and one that will get the kids that visit your haunts talking. It gives them something that they already know and kind of fear already to look at your haunt. Like I said, once you've got the basics for this one down, there's a lot you can do with it. You've got the chance to get really creative with this one. The last of our list today is a tutorial by Christopher Heidemann, showing us how to make a haunted mirror from a picture frame. This is a really easy tutorial to follow, and it comes in at just under 3 minutes. All this build requires is a picture frame and the right couple of cans of spray paint. It's another one that you can have a bit of fun with in that you can paint whatever you want. The finished result looks great too, another simple but effective tutorial that I'm sure would look great if you have the space for it in your haunt. And that was 5 great little tutorials. I'm planning to give a couple of those a try next year. I really don't have the time this year. But it's been quite an interesting list this week, I think. If you'd like to see 5 more spooky how-tos, then be sure to come back next time for more terrifying tutorials. We have another great tale for you creeps. Again from BBC Radio 4's Fear on 4 segment. Today's tale, The Dead Drummer.
Welcome once more to my house of horror. Last week I told you of a woman driven to despair by the sound of a telephone whose ringing chilled her to the bone. This week it's another sound that chills. The haunting sound of a drumbeat from the past. Our story is set on Salisbury Plain, a place which indeed abounds in strange stories. And the period? Well, the younger man sports a tarred pigtail, and the elder a monstrous tattoo on his arm, which shows Bonaparte hanging from a gibbet, although at the time of my story, Bonaparte himself is still alive and well. Come with me then on a stormy night to Salisbury Plain, and to the legend of the Dead Drummer.
I'd not be to see on a night like this.
'Tis a fair storm and no mistake.
We should have stuck to the roads. There's little shelter out here on the plain.
Little, he says. There's none as I can see.
Still, he who's soaked to the skin has no fear of a wetting, they say.
That's a sea wetting I spoke of. There's naught to a sea wetting. A land wetting's different.
Surely, man. Look yonder. Ain't that a way post?
I think it be.
Let's see what it's to tell us, good or bad.
That's rare difficult writing, Matthew. There's numbering figures mixed up in there, too, some
Hush,
wonder.
man, I'm reading. This waypost tells us we're to Lavington this way, and devises that.
What do t'other arms say?
The writing's worn quite a way there, but the figure says 1 mile.
It must be worth a man's labour to reach it if it's signposted so. An inn, do you think?
You never know in these parts. They're just as likely to signpost a pond or a swamp or somebody's grave as any hostelry.
What were that sound?
Aye?
That noise, then.
I heard no.
There it is again.
Aye, I heard it.
Was it?
'Twere naught. 'Twere thunder, plain and simple.
It were him, Matthew.
It were thunder, I say.
And he's coming closer.
Then step out, man, for God's sake. Thunder or bogey, man. I want to be under cover when it do come.
Wait, Matthew! Matthew, wait!
There! If that ain't the best sight I ever did see.
Is anyone home, do you think?
It's an inn, man. Bound to let us in wherever the hour.
Oh, it's true enough for town. It's different here. Lonelier, see. What if we was robbers, Matthew?
Shh, hush, man. I'll try the door.
What I tell you, there's no one at home.
Wait.
What's up, Matthew?
A light. Up there at the window. Let me do the talking.
Do it and welcome.
Who's below? 2 travellers soaking wet.
I can see that much. Where you from?
From the walls, indirectly.
What are you doing on Salisbury Plain on such a night?
To answer you truly, landlord, we was getting lost.
Well, you're not the first to stray off the path. Nor shall be the last.
May we rest here a while? Take some ale? Share your fire?
I'll come down.
What did I tell
What's
you?
the clock,
I done
Matthew?
There's no way of telling. Landlord look bound for bed.
Are we money enough to stay here?
We'll talk about that. Keep your mouth shut about your fancies. Don't say a word, you understand? Whatever it is out there, it's not what you think.
But I
You
heard
heard the voice of the storm, nothing more. Now, hush she.
Very well, Matthew.
Come in. Come in.
Thank you kindly, landlord.
And your friend?
Billy boy.
Aye. It's bitter, truly.
I trust we did not disturb your rest or wake the mistress of the house.
Well, there's no mistress. I live here alone. I went to bed betimes thinking there'd be no one foolish enough to walk abroad on such a night.
Well, you reckon without us, didn't he, Billy boy?
Aye, Matthew.
You're a sailorman, do I take it?
Correct in every detail, landlord. Was it the aye gave us away?
No, there's other clues.
Huh?
Your collar is stained with tar. Your trousers is bows up together and guiltless of braces. And besides, you have that pigeon-toed step of nautical men. And I'd wager your friend's a marine, a jolly.
By God, landlord, but you're a marvel and no mistake. How could you tell that?
I can't rightly say. There's simply something about him that savours more of the pipe clay than the pitch.
Hear that, Billy boy?
I do, Matthew.
But place yourself by the fire, gentlemen. Go on. Yes. I'll poke it into life again. You'll be requiring a jar directly, I'm sure. I'll fetch it for you, and then I'll go and warm your bed.
Landlord.
Aye?
You'd best say what this is costing hard cash, for we're wandering men, and though the king be dear to us, we don't carry his picture to any great extent.
I do what I can for those who has fought for their country.
That's right, civil of you, sir.
Not civil, no. But most of us who stayed behind, safe behind doors, has cause to thank them as went to fight in the wars. And put old Boney where he belongs. My inn door will never be closed to such as you and your friend.
You hear that, Billy?
Huh? Did I hear what?
What the kind gentleman said. Ain't that a Christian spirit that he has on him?
That's for certain sure, Matthew.
Is he ill, your companion? He
No.
was powerful pay.
Not ill, bless you, sir. Simply tired with the journey.
Ah. Well, I'll mull up some ale. That'll want to suit you best. There. See to your friend, why don't you?
Aye, that I shall. Come, Billy. Come sit beside me.
Storm's getting closer.
What are you doing to cry out like that? This man will warm us and feed us, don't you understand? Don't have him question us.
What's there to say?
What's there to say, say you? One thing's for sure, you'll always choose those things to say that folks want to hear least. Do you think landlord would be so anxious to please if he knew what sort of man he had under his roof?
Matthew, don't put a name to it.
Then don't be so free to take the name upon yourself.
What? Murderer?
No, no one could call you that.
Some would.
You can't stop him. Who then would say it?
He.
Who?
He with a drum.
There's no drum, damn you. What do you hear is thunder.
Aye, thunder, but beat upon a drum.
Nothing of the sort.
His snare drum. Isn't that what you call it? A right tight little side drum what sits at a lad's hip?
You know well enough.
I do that. And I know, too, that that's the sound I do hear.
Say you.
Not thunder.
Are you so sure? Listen. Thunder!
A drum!
Rattling the shutters and the windies and the sessions.
A drum!
Thunder, I tell you!
Are you mad, Matthew?
Are you?
I am, I reckon I am, for I hear that drummer boy coming closer, ever closer out there over the plain. He's after me, sure.
'Tis the sound of your own conscience, I'm thinking.
Who taught my conscience to play the drum?
There. Oh, this is a warrior. Hey, look, fresh malt.
Thank ye kindly, landlord.
You're most welcome.
Will ye keep us company here by the fire?
Gladly.
Billy, come away from that window. Sit yourself down.
Very well.
Oh, a good brew that, ain't it, Billy boy?
Hi.
I'm glad it pleases you.
It does, don't it, Billy?
Hi.
I'm passing to a drop myself.
I don't blame ye one jot.
Put life into the dad, it was.
Hush, man, sit down.
What do you mean?
Hush, I say.
Life in the dead, what do you mean by that?
No, my soul.
You heard him, Billy. He meant nothing by it.
Very well. Very well.
And sit down, do, and beg his pardon.
Pardon, landlord.
Granted. Right gladly. What thought you I meant, though, sir?
Nothing. He thought nothing. That's a fault in him.
Matthew.
He will speak before he thinks.
Yes, so I can see. Unless he's out with those great hands of his, I shouldn't wonder. I'd not like to be at the end of his temper.
Well, I tell you, square landlord, he's gentle as a lamb.
To you, perhaps, but you surely have the measure of him.
Well, we've been shipmates, see.
They say that you really get to know a man, a shipboard.
I know him like a brother. He's nervous now, but he'll be better directly.
See him start when the thunder rolls.
Simply his way.
Why, he's as pale as a ghost.
Let you hear him, Matthew. Pale as a ghost. Ain't that a gun?
Hush.
What's his meaning?
He's tired. He's walked far today.
We're no further than you, we shipmates, sure.
I measure him pace for pace.
And there's another reason for his fancy.
Fancy? What fancy?
The drummer boy, damn you!
Matthew, you said there were no...
No, Billy.
What drummer boy is it?
There's nothing. A dream he had.
It's more than a dream, I can tell. I can tell.
Tell him the tale, Matthew.
You want me to?
Aye.
Your friend's right, you know. If there's something bothering him, it's best to have it out in the open.
It's an ordinary enough tale.
Tell him, Matthew.
It's your tale, rightly.
Tell him!
Billy here weren't allus a jolly. He started out as a soldier and a good un, corporal.
Sergeant.
See, sergeant. Well trusted, seemingly, and when a job came up for a good, stout, reliable, sober fellow, Billy'd be chosen.
He's an air about him, I grant you.
One day there's a command for him to take a charge of weight to a detachment a dozen mile away or more. A regimental pay, no less, and other gear packed onto a string of mules.
Grave responsibility.
Billy was up to it. But he needed a companion for the way. They chose the young drummer boy to go with him, for he could sing like a bird and play and jest and while the time away.
Brand were his name. Abel Brand.
Go on.
You not want me to tell it, Bill?
No.
Well, they paused by the way in a little wood, was it?
That's right,
Under some trees to keep the sun off their heads while they shared a rough meal, for this was in warmer climes than ours.
Bread and cheese and water from the brook hard by.
And this is what makes the tale. There were bandits in them parts.
Bandits?
Who roved in bands, robbing travellers.
They'd not touch a soldier in uniform with a gun about him, surely.
That's a hard part for Billy there, being warm, as I said, and the rest being due.
He slipped a rifle off his shoulder.
Leaned it against a rock, took off his belt with a bayonet, rested it down.
And then they struck.
They did.
I can still hear his cries.
And they killed him, the drummer.
Spit him on their swords, the heathens.
Your shipmate there?
Fought like the deuce, but there were too many.
I ran and ran.
Don't take it bad. You're no coward, Billy.
I ran, I tell you.
No reason you shouldn't. Not if the lad was dead.
Oh, he was dead, all right. Only question is...
What?
Why don't he say so?
The thunder still troubles you, huh?
Thunder, you call it?
What else would you have me call it? I know no other word.
Thunder, indeed.
He's only trying to help you.
Tell him to...
What, sir?
Make it stop.
Well, there's many tales of folk trying to pose over the weather, and not one of them but looked a fool for his pains. Don't worry, man. Storm will flow over soon.
But he'll still be there.
Billy, no!
He won't cry.
It's all of a trample. Look.
Do you not see him? There! There! He's so proud and sniffing his mark. Do you not see him?
Come on, sit down, sit down. Sit down. If you can't see aught out there in this pitch, you're better than I. A drummer boy, indeed.
I saw him myself.
Oh, very well, so you did.
I'm scared.
Well, there's none likes to see a sprite. But what harm should this one wish you?
He's come for me, that's what.
Nonsense, man.
Him and his damnable drum. He's come with his rat plan to take me down to hell.
What talk is this?
You did him no harm, Billy.
Indeed you did not. And I tell you, ghosts is many things, but they always have a logic to what they do.
They'll not carry you off for no reason, I promise you.
Is it reason you want?
Put your mind at rest, sir.
Reasons?
You did all that you could for him, seemingly.
Aye, all that a man can do for another.
What means he by that?
He, nothing, he's wandering.
You don't know the half. Neither on you do. But he do. You can't fool a drummer boy. You can't fool young Abel Brown.
Why should we wish to?
Oh, Matthew. You're like a brother to me. You take care of me because you think I'm something cracked, but I've a knowledge in my soul you never even dreamed of.
There he goes again.
Best take no notice.
Aye, why stir things up? Everyone's happy the way things are. No one wants it changed, do they, huh?
Of course not, Billy.
Wrong, Matthew. He do. You hear him now?
Oh, I hear thunder.
And?
The ensign swinging, the rain lashing the wall.
That drum, for God's sake, the drum!
He's powerfully troubled.
He's been like this afore, best to humour him.
Do you not hear it?
I hear it, sure, landlord.
I too,
Huh? Tap to his rhythm, then.
I have not the skull.
Matthew!
Nor I.
Liars! You hear nothing.
I told you what we hear. You balked to believe it.
He's outside now. He's come as far as he will. Now, he will wait.
For what?
For me. 'Tis only my fear protects me now, for it keeps me awake, and he'll not take me open-eyed.
He's a heavy conscience, your friend.
Ah, seemingly.
He'll wait till my eyelids droop, then sneak in by the chink of a casement, then off with my soul like an old sea vest and jump. Out the window they go together.
Answer me, sir.
Aye, landlord?
Tell me true. What wrong did you do, young Brand?
What wrong? Did he not tell you he ran off and left him to die?
That's not all.
No.
No.
There's maybe a detail or so I left out.
Billy, take care.
No point in denying. I left him, it's true.
But how?
In a coward's way.
How?
With no thought but for my own safety and...
How?
With a 6-inch of steel in his ribs.
Who put it there?
I did.
You murdered him? With a 6-inch steel in his ribs?
Aye.
The bandits played no part in it?
Ah, there never was no bandits.
You stabbed him in cold blood, then?
Oh, Billy boy.
I had to, don't you see? He had a secret.
You killed to learn this secret?
No.
Why, then, why?
So that others would not learn.
Was it so terrible?
Terrible in its consequence. In itself, quite ordinary.
What? What was it?
A knowledge. A knowledge of what I intended.
Oh, Billy,
You
lad.
intended?
Oh, ain't it obvious, man, to rob the mules of their packs, take the money and what else of value? Wave goodbye to the flag. Not so foolish, see, the flag waves back.
You refused to act, would you, young Brand?
Well, he were young. He couldn't see the necessity of it. He'd not endured it all the same time as I. He were green.
So you cut him down.
Oh, not just like that. I had qualms. And despair. Don't make me out a mindless beast.
You slew him in cold blood.
Oh, your words, mister, but 'tain't so. The blood pumped hot in my veins. This here in my brow has not done throbbing since. But I couldn't let him go. Don't you see? He'd have told all.
What difference would it have made? They'd soon know. Enough, that with their money gone. Wouldn't need a young lad to tell him.
He told them more dead than alive.
Oh, that's true, landlord. That's very true. I tell you something else. He still does. He still tells them all they want to know. Don't you hear? Quiet, you demon. If I can kill you once, I can kill you twice. I got the knife here still, see?
Mercy on us.
Put it down, Billy.
Never. I hung on to this always. I had it all the time I lived in the hills with a deserter's bounty on my head. Then when I... What happened next?
Catch you quick, he's gonna fight.
Oh, let me be. I mustn't close my eyes, do you see? Mustn't close my eyes.
You can't fight nature, man.
Oh, can I so? Nature created Abel Brand, I think, yet I reversed the process. So then I...
Steady, old friend.
Then I come home. Some of the money remains, see? I drank it away. The wee drummer, you see. He never let I rest. I drank one night in a bar with sailors. Well, the press, they come and took me. I didn't care. They were soldiers, see, young Grand. At sea, I was safe.
He didn't follow you to sea?
Never. He's a land demon only. Now the wars are done. Hard to find a ship. Hard to find...
What, Billy?
Rest.
He's done in.
It's a fit.
You just wore himself out. A bad conscience can do that to a man.
Yeah, we'll come and biscuit him up to bed.
You don't mind?
Oh, no, we've got no choice. Well, we can't tear him out the door, can we?
You believe in the demon.
I don't believe nor disbelieve. It's better thus. You take his legs and pick that knife of his up. It gives me the creeps. Yeah, get him upstairs. Go this way. Shoot us first. He's a big fellow, your friend, and strong.
That he is, and a useful man in the rigging.
A fearful thing a man's conscience is when it sours.
True, landlord, true.
Careful now, careful. You had no knowledge of this?
None, I swear. But I did know...
What?
He was subject to dreams and terrors, and at once he'd been rich.
He pays for all fortune, in the end. This way with him. Big bed there. Right.
I just noticed.
What did you notice?
Thunder stopped.
Aye, for present. But nothing's to be read by that. All thunder stops on time. Go on gently now. All right. Steady there. That's it.
Shall I take his shoes off?
Better.
His eyes is closed.
Well, that's natural.
He didn't want them closed. Put him in mortal fear.
Not we can do. You can close the eyes of the dead, but you can't open the eyes of the living. What are you doing?
His jacket.
He won't need that. Asleep.
He likes to have it always under his pillow.
It won't do him any good. If there's a demon, indeed. Not gone, seemingly. Not yet.
There, Billy. There's your knife to keep you safe.
Come on, let him be. A charm would work better than a knife, I'm thinking.
You have one?
I don't believe in it myself, not to any great extent, you know.
But you have one.
A dolly somewhere, aye.
Could he have it?
Huh?
Just for the night.
I suppose so, aye. Where is it now?
There, over the bar.
That's it. Farmers and folk to set great store by these.
This is quaintly woven.
Do not you stir. I'll take this up and put it by his bed, against the sprite.
He don't believe in charms. He nails one up on a beam. And I don't believe in spirit drummer boys, yet I use them right enough. My stars, there's no mistake, he's going away. He's going away. Abel Brand. Abel Brand, he's leaving, sure. But why? Because of the charm, or Because his work is done. Oh, my God. Landlord! What's the matter?
I was too late. The wee drummer got there first, seemingly.
What do you mean?
His throat is cut. From ear to ear. With his own knife.
Billy!
Do you not go up there? It's not an instructive sight.
I've been in battle, man. I've seen the worst can happen.
Tis not the blood, nor the smiling cut I spoke of. But the expression on his face. I'll not forget that as long as I live.
Wasn't an easy job at sea. All peaceful, looks like he went in his sleep.
He did go in his sleep, poor lad.
Hey, what's that?
I beg pardon, Undertaker. I was admiring your mystery.
Oh, well, take a last look-see then. I'll nail him up and on.
Do it straight away, if you please. All my prayers is said.
Yeah, they do say of all men, sailors is the quickest of prayer. Have to be, I reckon, if a great wave or a great fish be coming at you.
Undertaker?
Aye.
I have to tell you this, that neither he nor I had sufficient funds to see you paid. Leastways, not as you deserve.
None could pay that much, son.
I mean, we have no.
That's no worry to me.
You surely didn't come here out of charity.
Oh, no, not with charity. No, charity's a little used word in my trade.
Then who shall pay you?
I'm paid.
Explain yourself.
The innkeeper saw me right.
The landlord here?
He's a soft-hearted one, is Jed. And powerful generous to such as have worn the king's uniform.
Aye, that we've learned for ourselves.
He had a son, a little lad he lost in the wars. Reckon he thinks he owes it to his memory to care for the military, so to speak.
The little lad?
Killed in action. They say old Jed's hair turned colour overnight. Drummer boy, he were.
Jed?
Landlord here. Jed Brand.
Aye, such is my name. Scared you, did I?
Here, work's not done. I'll just tie him down.
You seem in a cheerful mood, Undertaker.
Why not? 'Tis not my friend lies there.
Farewell, then. Oh, and thank ye.
Oh, any time, Jed Brand. Walk on your own knack.
Well, sir, I could wish your stay had been a happier one. It's bad for an inn when two arrive for the night and one departs in the morning.
He called you Brand.
Why not? I mean, that's my handle, as they say.
That's what the lad was called, Brand. Abel Brand.
It's a common enough name.
Is it?
Oh, aye, in these parts, aye. What's troubling you, sir? Why, you've gone powerful pale.
When you went up to Billy's room with the charm...
That my boy lured his killer here? And I cut his throat? Is that what you're thinking?
Why not? You had cause enough.
I'll tell you why not. 'Cause I'm an innkeeper, that's why not. I'm proud of my calling. We have standards, we landlord folk. Murder, as I think you'll agree, sir.
Well, say on, damn you. Say on.
Murder, sir, is the most fearful breach of hospitality. Most fearful.
Murder isn't always a breach of hospitality, of course. Otherwise you wouldn't allow me into your home each week with my tales of terror. In the tale you've just heard, The part of Matthew was played by Ray Smith, Billy Boy by Christian Rodsker, and the landlord by Glyn Houston. The undertaker was David Buck, who also wrote the story, based on one of the Inglesby legends. The Dead Drummer was directed by Martin Jenkins. And I am Edward D'Souza, your Man in Black, inviting you to listen next week to the nightmare story of the dispossessed daughter.
Ah, hello, Haunters. You're finally getting your first interview. It's taken long enough, hasn't it? But yes, you're finally getting your first interview. And today's interview will be with Natasha Shelford, the creator of the UK Halloween prop making group on Facebook. That's where this whole thing started, in the UK Halloween prop making group. So you can kind of thank Natasha for all of this. Or you can moan at her about it, because, you know, it's not that great, really. So either way, let's jump in and see what she has to say for herself. So joining me right now is Natasha Shelford, the creator of the UK Halloween prop making group over on Facebook. Hello, Natasha.
Hello, how are you, Oliver?
I'm living the dream, as they say.
Oh, we all are.
How are you doing? Are you all right?
I'm fantastic, thank you. Not long woke up as I'm a night shift worker, so this vampire's off to work soon.
Yeah. I'm just going to jump straight in then, and I'm going to ask you, what made you start the UK Halloween prop making group?
Oh, it was a couple of years ago now. I was hanging out in the American prop groups with quite a few of you, and it got to the point where we couldn't find half the things that they had over in America, because we know that they always do it bigger and better than the UK have done. And I noticed there was quite a few of us from the UK, and I just thought, I wonder. That was it. I just went for it, and then I got Lee and James on board, and we just ran with it. And then I think you was our first actual member, weren't you?
Was I?
I believe you were.
Oh,
I
wow.
believe you were the first actual member that we had, and there was just 4 of us. And then it was like, all of a sudden, it just started where people were coming in, and I didn't realise how many other haunters there were. And even Kay being so local, she's just up the road, and it was just wow. So that's why I did it, was to try and unite the UK Halloweeners together and get some ideas for my own props, to be fair.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I had no idea I was the first. Well, if I did, I didn't remember it. But that's crazy.
No, you were. You were definitely the first.
I blame Jimmy then. It was probably him. He probably invited me.
It was him. It was him.
Yeah.
If we went back through the to have a look on who the first members were, I am pretty 99.9% sure it was you. And that's how we met, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
Wow.
So it was good. In the early days, though, I didn't think it'd get any more members than maybe, I don't know, 100 at the most. And now look, it's just growing every day.
Yeah, quite the rise in numbers, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know where they're all coming from, but keep coming.
Yeah.
Keep coming.
So, how long have you sort of been doing Halloween, and what got you started on it? Have you always been doing Halloween, or is it sort of a more recent thing for you?
It's been absolutely forever. Like, my son's birthday is Halloween.
Oh, okay.
So I started, this was like, he's 16 this year, and I'd started doing like little displays a few years before he was born. But the love for Halloween actually comes from my mother. So Patricia Canning, big shout out to you. When I was little, she used to have the most amazing Halloween parties. But back in the 80s, bin bags for for your outfit and your hats on. But we always used to have these wonderful parties, and she would just deck the house out. It was the most surreal thing that any kid had ever seen, because not many parents did it, but we all went trick-or-treating in a big horde, and it was just a fond memory from being small that I wanted my children to have, and then other children to have as well. And it just seemed to like phase out throughout the 90s, the late 90s and early 2000s. And I thought, this is not right. And then I moved to a different house, and I got the odd trick-or-treater, and I thought, that's it, I'm just going to go for it. And it's been done ever since. And since I've moved house now, the amount of children that I get is unbelievable. And I treat the parents, I treat everybody. It's like, thanks for coming, have a great day, get off the kids' suite, here's your own bag. So, and they think it's hilarious. But I've got like loyal trick-or-treaters that have been coming since they were about 6. And I've lived here 13 years. So now they're like teens, and they still come every year. Every single year. It is. So I've watched these little tots grow. It's been fantastic. And like back in the early days when I lived here, we used to have the odd one that would turn up with no costume, and they go, trick or treat. And I go, oh, have you not got a costume today? And they'd be like, no. And I'd hand out teeth, little capes. There you go, off you go. Because some people won't treat if they don't have costumes. But when you live in an area like mine, you understand that some children just haven't got access. So I just handed things out, and that was it. These kids are still coming back now with their own kids. It's brilliant. So
that's awesome.
I really enjoy it. It's good fun.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Great. It's a really sort of lovely tale there.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh, cool.
Maybe we should just ask you back, what got you into Halloween?
Oh, good question. Yeah, so I grew up in the 90s, and trick-or-treating just wasn't that big back then, but I've always loved horror as a kid. So I used to watch the cartoon version of Tales from the Crypt when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I used to get up early on a Saturday. It used to be on Nickelodeon at like 5:30 in the morning or something ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah. So I used to watch that. But then when we'd go to our aunt and uncle down the road quite often. And they used to let my cousins just kind of watch anything. So I got to watch a lot of horror and things when I was quite young. But I grew up with a massive love of horror. I used to love the cheap plastic masks that you got at Halloween, the like ridiculous colours. So classic monsters like Dracula and Frankenstein and things, but in like bright neon yellows and pinks and stuff.
And they make your face sweat, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
They were awful, but we loved them. Did you ever stick your tongue through the mouth hole?
Yeah, and you cut your tongue every time.
Yeah, I used to do it every time and never learned. Year after year, I'd do this.
Yeah. No, I regret sort of, because they always split and they always break and everything.
They did.
I regret not keeping them in a way, or not buying extras, because I would love to have I've got this idea in my, because you can still buy them, but they're expensive.
And I don't think they look as good as the original, do they? Really? They're like a cheaper version of the cheap mask that were like 30p back in the day. It is a shame. If we ever build a time machine, that's what we're doing. We're going back from masks.
Definitely. I've just got this idea in my head where I want like sort of 4 in a frame on my wall. I've just got this image in my mind, almost like when you see a Beatles poster or something, but just replace their faces with these 4 masks.
Oh, that'd be epic. That would be absolutely amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I like that.
Those are sort of childhood Halloween for me, but my parents never took us trick-or-treating, really. Maybe a tiny bit when we were younger. wasn't until I was more 11, 12, 13, I went with friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember my first costume. It was either a Grim Reaper or it was a Ghostface from Scream. It was one of the two. I can't remember which way round it was.
Every year I was a witch. No matter what, I was a witch. And just so happens that I grew up to be a witch.
Oh, there we
I
go.
don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I was always a witch. I used to rock the bin bag every year because it was like there were no costumes back then, not really. And then Mum started making our costumes, and she was just, her imagination is off the chart. And my sister Ayla, who's also in group, hey Ayla, she her makeup, the way she does makeup is absolutely outstanding. So they live over in Derry now in Ireland. And out there, I need to get over. So for Harrison's 18th, we're going to go over because he can drink then if he wants to. And they literally shut Derry down. That is it. There is nothing else happening but Halloween. And everybody goes, and adults alike are all dressed up. And it's
awesome.
And I will video it when I get out there because it's going to be brilliant. I think I might live stream when I'm over. And I think it's just going to be like a jaw-dropping moment for me because we don't do that here.
No.
It's such a fine shame.
I had no idea they did it like that in Ireland, to be honest.
Obviously, it's huge. It's huge.
Yeah, obviously that's where it all started, really. All them years ago.
Is. I know, and America take credit, but that's the Irish went to America and took it with them. Exactly. So, I know. But I really want to go. I'm desperate just to go see how big this is. But they have like street performers and so much going on, and it goes on all the evening, and people aren't expected to turn up into work even because they know it's just such a big thing that they do.
That's amazing.
I know, we belong in Ireland, clearly.
Yeah. Well, my mum's family's Irish, so I'll have to use that excuse.
Yeah, every single time. Go over and see my mum. I'm sure she'll accommodate.
Oh man! So obviously it's the UK Halloween prop making group.
Yeah.
Do you make many props these days for yourself? Or?
I've not made any recently. I'm going to be really honest. With work, I have just been work, sleep, repeat. It's just got to the point where I just want to cry all the time. However, I have a week off for my birthday. So in that week, I'm going to find some time to make something this year. I'm not sure what that something is, but I've been making something. But the last thing I actually made was my cauldron. In all fairness, that was my last actual big prop. Everything else I can't say has been a prop. It's just been like, fancying something up. So the last actual prop I did was my cauldron, which is now in the back garden ruined. I can't believe she died. I might see what I can do with it, to be fair.
Yeah.
Because I do love that cauldron, but that was the last big thing that I made. And it's sad that I don't have time to do it as much.
No, I know the feeling.
But I bought Screecher. Was his name Scorcher? That big pumpkin guy. Yeah. I bought him last year. So I want to build around him this year and make him some kind of like, I don't know. He's going to be the main feature on the garden.
Oh, cool.
That's what I'm going to hope to stake him down and no rain and all the rest of it. But I'm going to surround it by him. And I've also got a charity thing coming up. A friend at work is doing this Halloween charity thing on the 29th. And he's, oh no, I need these things. And I went, you're just so lucky because I've got a load of props. And he's like, oh my God, are you coming? Will you help me set it up? So I'll be doing that on the 29th. I know. So I wrote myself into that. Let's see how it goes. It'll either be a success or a flop. Who knows?
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Oh, it'd be great. I'll have a good time no matter what. Halloween,
No, that's awesome. I'm in the same kind of boat in that. So I've had the last week off work, and I've just been so busy anyway that there's been no prop work whatsoever. I've got a piece of foam in the shed that is waiting to be turned into a tombstone.
Oh.
Has been waiting for about 4 weeks now. But yeah, I'm just so busy all the time lately. It's mad.
It's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just think that at the moment, for anyone to have chance to do anything, you've got to be so focused. And I think that maybe I need to get James's Spotify on and sit and think, yeah, I'm going to make and do. I'm going to make and do. I've got a castle that I'm converting into a haunted castle. It's massive. It's like about 2 foot tall. And I got it off Facebook Marketplace for £20 because it was broken, and it's exactly how I needed it to be to do it up. So I want to paint that up this year. I'm desperate to get that up and running. So that'll be really, really good.
Oh, that's cool. Still on the subject of props, have you got like a, let's say, like an end game prop that the one thing you really want to build that you're telling yourself you'll get to one day?
This is going to sound really crazy, but I want to put a wraparound porch on my house and make it look like a big American old haunted house. That is the end game. That's the one. And I've had it in my mind for a good 5 years living here. And I'm like, if I could just get that done, it looks so spooky and really like board all the windows out and whatever. And I just thought that's end game. That's massive. So that's the idea. And I've got like 3 projectors now, so I'll be able to illuminate everywhere, and it'd be terrific. Yeah. Absolutely terrific to make it a full-on Amityville looking haunted house.
Well, that'd be great.
It really would, wouldn't it? I don't know how I'm going to afford it, but it's happening one day.
I might end up that way anyway. My wife loves that kind of look, that wooden look with the porch, the kind of wraparound porch thing. She loves that.
Yeah, me too.
So one day maybe.
I might just have to build a model little house.
Yeah.
I just settle for that, but it would be amazing, because I just think in America they have these nice big houses that have these porches, and they always look so good, with the pumpkins leading up, I'd give anything for that. And my house is a weird shape as well, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a bit odd.
I'd love to be able to do just it's not necessarily like my end game or anything, but I want to be able to do a walkthrough. Not necessarily through the house or anything, just out the front, but I have considered, because the way our house is laid out, you walk through the front door, you can literally walk in a straight line straight out the back. So I have considered like putting wall panels in the living room so it goes straight through the house.
Yeah.
And take people out that way and through the garden, because we've got a decent sized garden, and then we've got the side gate, so it can lead back out the side gate rather than back through the house.
So that'd be amazing.
Yeah,
that would be fantastic.
That's a mega job.
I think Lee did that one year. That one year that we ended up getting him in the paper and everything. It was wild. He really raised some money that year as well.
Awesome.
And he did it throughout, but his stairs, I'd never seen anything like it. They were like lit up with UV light, and there was webs everywhere. It took him so long to put these webs up and so long to get them back down.
I can imagine.
But it looked amazing, and his shack that he built, it was unbelievable. And he just turned the house, him and Becca turned the house from this regular end terraced house into this super haunted thing. And I'm thinking, if he can, I can, but I don't know where he got his focus from. I just cannot remain focused. And the guy had his own business, like working for himself. I just thought, how are you juggling this? I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how people do it. I really don't. I try, but I don't think I can get to that level.
No, me either. But not unless I had a big lotto win and a lot of help. See, if I ever won the lottery, it would be where I would just buy like somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and it would just be an event where people would come, a free event, and they could just come and drive up and see Halloween Town all lit up. It'd be amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So if I ever had that kind of money, I think I'd want to do a kind of a business, basically, like a year-round thing. You know, turn a
Absolutely.
warehouse into a haunt kind of thing.
Oh, can I drive your counterbalance there?
Yeah.
I've got a license for that. I'll just be the one moving your props around.
That's fine for me.
Oh, brilliant. Because that's what I do. I work in a warehouse, so
Okay.
you can have your own warehousey. Just so I can hang out. I don't need payment. Just pay me in coffee. That'll be it.
Oh, that's fine.
Be in heaven.
I can manage that.
See, I'd love a pumpkin patch as well. You know, where people come buy the pumpkins and then have like a big, massive kind of Alton Towers-y feel. Not with the rides, of course, but that, you know how they do it on a spectacular like level.
Yeah.
I'd like it like that. It'd just be brilliant. And then have a little gothy shop that's all year round, because there's so many people that have it as regular decor anyway. Anyway, and I'm one of them. I see a pumpkin, that's mine. I've got to have it. Skulls. I've recently bought a skull drink dispenser in B&M for like £8, and I thought, wow. So we got that, and I've hidden it away because I don't want it to get broken.
Yeah. No, I've barely been to any of the shops yet, because nowhere locally seems to be putting it out quick enough.
No, they don't. Yeah. I've not been out anyway because I've not had any money, and now I've got some money because payday's happened. I'm like, maybe I should stay out of them. Because you know what's going to happen. I'll be poor by the end of the week. I'll be like, oh God, I've done it again.
I'm trying to really limit myself this year.
Yeah, I've got to be savvy this year. With the energy bills going up, I need to be able to like make sure I can keep the lights on for the props.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's going to be such a hard time for so many this year that I really want to make sure that I've got enough money and to really go out there to give people a bit of joy, to be fair, because it's been quite rubbish for us all, hasn't it, for the last 3 years, say?
It has, yeah.
And it's just getting a bit harder and harder. So I just thought, you know what, I'm going to push the boat out this year. Dress the cars even, and try and get it all where there's a sign at the end of the road, haunted house this way, and, you know, really make a big thing of it for the kids. So,
oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. They deserve it. They do deserve it. They've been through a lot.
I know, it's a weird time to be alive, isn't it?
Yeah, who thought that this would ever happen in our lifetime?
No. Crazy.
It is crazy. Absolutely. Something to tell the grandkids, though, hey?
Yeah. It's our version of during the war.
Yeah, absolutely. During the plague.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. And the Great Depression.
Yeah. God. We've kind of managed to answer all my questions while I'm not asking very many, if that makes sense.
Well, that's amazing.
I know.
That was easy then, wasn't it?
It was.
See, you're great. That's all I've got to say is you're fantastic. And I think that you're doing this Hallowscream is absolutely brilliant. And I'm so glad that you brought it back, because so many members you thought that maybe they weren't all listening. We were all listening, you know, even in the beginning. And I'm really, really happy. I'm proud to have you there, because it's like you really do give so much to the group without even realizing you're giving so much. So thank you so much for everything you do, because it wouldn't be the same. It would not be the same without you. So thank you so much for everything. Fab admin. Shout out to the other admin too.
Yes.
Thank you all, guys, because it's been something that has just grown and grown and grown. But to be fair, the admin are doing a fantastic job, and the members, wow, we've got some terrific members now.
I know.
And I'm not going to stop going on about this horse and this cart, you know, the horse and cart.
I know.
And if he doesn't spam me with videos, I'm going to get in the car. I'm going to drive down there and say, right, I'm doing my own.
I'll be honest.
I don't want you to get bored. You're in the right place for non-bored people.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I'm just waiting for the final product to turn up on there so that I can. It's a bit of a spoiler for future episodes, but I am just waiting to feature this one on Props for Props.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's just out there, isn't it? I'm so sad that we didn't get to do Heidi's horse, because that was a labour of love, wasn't it? Heidi's horse was like, wow, that was out there, and she really did put so much effort into that. And to see these things happening, like James's spider, as well. He was just like, rah! I've got it, rah! And the end product was absolutely outstanding. So these labours of love, guys, keep doing them because the end product is always worth it.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's getting hard to keep up with because
says you and me that's not got one this year.
Yeah. I know, but it's getting difficult to keep up on props for props because the caliber is just going up every year, and it's really.
I know.
It's hard to pick.
It's actually shocking this year how many new members have come in and instantly shared. I'm like, wow, this is what we need. This is what we need.
Yeah.
So it's been fantastic, and it's just, I think it will come into its own. You know, I'm thinking, how big is this actually going to get? You know, and will we eventually all manage to get to meet somewhere for a big conference? Who knows?
Yeah, that's what I'd like.
I know. Oh, I know. This is why I've mentioned it, because you've been saying this for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, we all need to meet, and we do. We absolutely do.
I think
I might slide past Kate's this year, Kay's, and not tell her I'm going, because she won't recognise me because I'm a moon. I'm just like, hey, Kate, how are you doing? It would be fab.
Yeah, definitely.
Because Halloween falls on a weekend this year, doesn't it? Or is it on Monday?
I think it's a Monday.
I think it's Sunday or Monday, isn't it?
It's one of the two. I'm going to have to check.
Yeah. I'm going to have to check. I know that I'm off work. That's all I know is we've booked it off work. I'm off for the week after work, which is great. So I've got a few days before to set up and then a week to take it down.
Yeah. Oh, it is indeed a Monday.
Oh, spooky Monday.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. I'd rather not have a birthday. I'm quite jealous that my son's birthday is Halloween.
Yeah.
And like he says every year, oh, you know, are you sure you want to do a party this year? I'm like, son, really? Come on. But with him being 18 in a couple of years, then I'm definitely going to be over in Ireland, because I just think it's going to be one of the most amazing things that he'll ever see.
Yeah, definitely.
Get to see family, and he gets to spend that most important birthday out there, and then I can share it with the group, which would be great.
Yeah. I mean, feel free to take us all with you if you like.
Oh, I will. Don't you worry. I'll be dragging you along, even if you don't want to go. We'll be there together. Oh, it'd be so good if everybody else would come too. Oh, come on, let's all go for a holiday.
Well, start like a UK Halloween prop making camp or something.
Oh my goodness, could you imagine?
It'd get pretty
That'd be
mad,
amazing.
really.
That'd be amazing. Yeah, it would. But we've got so much talent in the group. We would come away with some really great things. And I go, look, this is how a glue gun works, because that's all I've got with pneumatic props going, look at this, look what I made. Well, actually, someone else made it. I just stood there and watched and went, yeah. I still can't get over, you know how people are making these programmable and using these little servos, and I'm just like, you lost me at wire one.
I know.
I don't know how it works. My brain just doesn't accept it. It just cannot understand. Even a kid's toy one that you're trying to make that work. My son was always so much quicker than me, and I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't understand.
No, I know what you mean.
I'd love to.
Go on.
But on an up note, Amazon are doing reindeer motors.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because I was Googling them to see how much they'd be to buy in bulk for future reference, and Amazon came up. It's not the exact same ones as the actual reindeer, but they do the exact same thing, and people have commented on it saying, you know, these are fantastic, I've used it for such and such, and I'm like, wow. And they're affordable. So I was like, well, maybe I should just have a go.
Yeah, I'll have to have a look at that.
Maybe somebody will comment after this and say, well, no, they're not quite the same thing. Obviously, I don't know what I'm talking about, but it did say reindeer motor. So I'm going to leave them with that. Check it out, because, you know, they're out there and they're affordable and next day delivery, you know.
Yeah.
We've not got to wait.
Oh, that's awesome.
I just need someone to show me a how-to with really, really simple, and I mean simple. Because I can't do it. I know I can't. I can solder really well, but I can't know how to do it. I don't know. I just can't.
We'll get there. That's why we need like group meetings. We can have a sort of lesson, if you will.
Yeah, we need a tutor. Who's going to put the hand up to be the tutor?
It's not me.
It's definitely not me. It's definitely not me. I'm the one licking the window, I'm telling you. I'm just watching in the distance going, yeah, nice, anyone want a cuppa? You know, I no. But we have got some really amazing talent there.
Yeah, we have.
Who do know, who can do, and it's simple to them. So hopefully there'll be some really easy how-tos. I know that Sue is desperate to do things. And she's like, it needs to be really simple. And I thought, you're saying this. Have you seen your haunt? Yeah. Wow. Hers is just out there. I'd love to go and see Sue's because it's just magical. Really Harry Potter kind of feel, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. Is there any haunts that you would want to go and visit this year? Like of other haunters?
Oh, good question. The problem is I've spent so much time doing the podcast lately that I'm really out of touch with what's in the group at the moment.
Yeah.
So
yeah, me too, to be fair.
I think I mean I definitely want to go see Canberra Crypt with Mr. McClardy.
Absolutely. He's definitely on my list.
But I already know Jimmy anyway, so it's kind of cheating.
Yeah. It's not cheating. It's not cheating.
Yeah, I definitely want to go see that. I mean, everyone's. Peter's would be awesome by the sounds of things.
Oh wow, yeah. Is it Peter Lawrence? Isn't it? Yeah, he is amazing. We just need to work out how far everybody is. I'd love to be going to see that horse and cart, or the cart. I'd love to go and see that. There's quite a few. There is quite a few, and the new members, like the names escape me, and I just think, I can't remember the names. There is, and it's like, you know, welcoming them all in. It is crazy. It is absolutely crazy trying to get time to welcome them all and then say welcome. But the list is just getting so long now, isn't it? It's just gonna have to be like a welcome all the newbies because it's just getting crazy.
I always like to try and when we do the welcome messages, I always like to try and make it a bit more personal.
Yeah, that's what we've always done, isn't it? And just trying to make it so that they do feel welcome, because it's like no other group really does that.
No, but we're reaching that point now. We're reaching that point where they're coming in at such a rate that it's not really possible.
No, not unless you've got like 4 hours just to keep.
Yeah, you're even doing one post with loads of them, or the group's just being spammed with welcome posts.
Yeah. This is it, and then it's just like taken away from the group.
Yeah.
The rest of the posts. So maybe we should just do it like once a day, like you said earlier.
Yes. Yeah.
And keep it to just the evening, so it's just one big post. But that means I've got to leave it to one of you other guys because I'll be at work. Except on a Saturday and a Sunday, so I can do the weekend admin.
Yeah. We can figure it out.
But I think that'd be a great idea, and I'm sure that whoever's listening will think that's a great idea too. Yeah. Absolutely. Definitely. Absolutely. You're full of good ideas, Oliver.
I try.
You try and succeed, my man.
Yeah. My wife would say I'm very trying, for sure.
Oh, all wives say that about the husbands, don't worry. I'm sure you guys think that about the wives too.
Certainly not.
Yeah, you wouldn't dare, would you?
I'd have my marching orders.
You would too, yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining me for this one. It's been
Thank you for
really
having
fun
me.
to talk to you.
Yeah, this is actually the first time I've ever spoken to you, like, on a phone, so that's really, really great. Even though I've heard your voice before, mine does sound a bit hoarse today, because, like, I've got a cold, but it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
No, not at all. The pleasure's all mine.
Oh, you softy.
I know. I try, like I say.
True gent to the end, that's it. Have a great evening.
Yeah, and you. Thanks for doing this again. Thank you for joining us.
No, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
Well done, Hallowscreamies. You've made it to the end of another episode. I said this a lot last season, but if you think you'd like to get involved with Hallowscream, then please get in touch. I'd be very happy to have some co-hosts to take on some segments and take a little of the weight off my shoulders. I won't lie, at my newbie level of experience, getting these done weekly is a hell of a challenge. I love doing it, but the ghouls and goblins of Bridus Cemetery keep me busy this time of year without having to try and fit recording and editing a whole podcast in. So, yeah. If you would like to get involved, just reach out in the comments, or if you're in the UK Halloween prop making group, just reach out to me there. But for now, that's me done, Haunt Fiends. I'll speak to you again next week, but until then, stay scary.